Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first Ride Warrior Wrestling. I'm, of course, the face that runs the place, Andy Rabarchek, joined by my very good friend introducing to you, Maverick Rob Dole. How's it going, Maverick?
Hey, how you doing?
So we had this, a few years ago, we had this idea to try to combine roller coasters and wrestling. And I was talking to my good friend, Rob Dole here, who you have seen on other great COASTER-net productions, like the trip to the IX Indoor Amusement Park. That was quite the trip there. But we came together, and you know what? We want to talk about wrestling and roller coasters. We're going to merge just like the WWF tried to merge rock and wrestling, we're going to merge roller coasters and wrestling now. I thought the first topic that we were going to discuss on the first ever Ride Warrior Wrestling show is this idea of a WWE theme park. Now, you may have seen a few months ago, this rumor was floating out there that the WWE was trying to start its own theme park. And we saw some concept art from this, from the same company that designed the entrance to Canada's Wonderland, the entrance to Islands of Adventure. They drew up all these great things and came up with this concept for a indoor WWE theme park. Now, Rob, you may have seen this. Some of the things that they discussed were things like a John Cena drop tower, a WWE House of Horrors haunted house featuring Undertaker and Boogeyman, and an Andre the Giant themed fun house. Were any of these ideas really outstanding to you at all?
Not at all. But they also said that there was going to be a statue that was going to be in the middle of a roller coaster, John Cena statue.
Well, of course, there would be a John Cena statue there. Only dwarfed in size by the Roman Reigns statue, probably, right? Because it's only a matter of time before Roman Reigns gets a bigger statue than Cena does. So. You know what? We decided that we're gonna take this idea of coming up with a WWE theme park and completely redo it, because you know what? The concept art looked really cool, but I think the actual rides were lacking, because what they were lacking is they were lacking any history. So everything was based on new people and current wrestlers, and you know from wrestling that a wrestler can fall out of favor quicker than at the drop of a hat. We've seen CM Punk fall out of favor. We've seen Roddy Piper fall out of favor. We've seen Hulk Hogan go on racist tirades and be, stricken from the record books. Wrestlers come and go, so at some point you want to make sure that your theme park has a stable base, that you're not going to have to be changing themes all the time with wrestlers, that come and go. So we decided to break it up into 4 periods. That we're going to have the Legends period, that classic golden age of 1980s WWF big guy wrestling, moving into that early 90s new era, with guys like Shawn Michaels and Diesel and Bret Hart, and then moving into the Attitude Era that everybody loves, and then finally ending up with the modern Universal Era that has been so fondly led by people like John Cena and Roman Reigns, and to the detriment of the internet wrestling community, who everyone hates. So why don't we, I thought, Rob, what do you think? Why don't we go through each era and maybe list a few rides that we think would kind of fit within that theme? That it's going to be kind of punny, if you will, kind of, a little silly. But we are trying to build a complete theme park that has a good collection of rides too. And obviously we're going to be focusing on coasters and major flat rides here. And if you guys like it, we'll come back and we'll fill in the blanks. I was just saying to you, I was joking around, where can I put the Max Moon Skywarp at? For all those people that don't know who Max Moon is, go research it. So Rob, why don't we start with the Legends era? And who do you think has to have like the biggest ride of the 80s? Like, come on, right?
The Hulk Hogan.
It's got to be the Hulkster. So I was thinking that he would get the Giga Coaster, that this would be the signature red and yellow Giga Coaster, maybe themed to like the Pythons, or I said, Running Wild, Hulkamania Running Wild on that red and yellow, rails, kind of like a Fury style ride.
In the queue line, you can have make sure you eat you take your vitamins and
say your prayers. And, just have like on the TV screens, Hogan, talking to you. And that, that would actually be a really cool idea. Like, what if in the park, especially with these theme rides, that you would have like matches playing from that wrestler. So you'd have Hogan matches, Hogan promos. You could really theme this out. Like, and I'm not saying that it should be an indoor park, because that's kind of crazy, because it seemed like they wanted like a movable park. But I think a static, park that you could really theme out would be really cool. Another ride I was thinking of was an Ultimate Warrior ride. And he wasn't the biggest star of the 80s, according to most. But, that warrior spirit, I think he should get the hyper coaster. Or, you know what? I'm changing my mind right now, Rob Dole. He should have a launch coaster with the way he hit the ring. He should should get a launch coaster. Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't know, like a good, like a dragster launch coaster would be awesome. Yes. The warrior spirit.
And it can have his entrance music right before it launches.
Yes. That would be amazing. A warrior launch, dragster style launch coaster. That would be it. What other 80s guys you got that you think deserves it?
We could do a fabulous Freebirds coaster.
A flyer.
Yes. Flyer, yes.
A flying coaster. A fabulous Freebirds flying coaster. I don't know if you'd be able to get away with the Confederate flag nowadays on it, though. like Michael PSA's did. But now would Bad Street USA would have to be playing on the lift hill, I would assume.
Yes,
right?
yes, something like that. Bad Street USA. It's got to be somewhere in there, the queue or something.
Or you know what? You put audio on board and it's just playing the entire ride. Onboard audio, and Bad Street USA is playing the entire. And I don't know if you'll want to get off by the end of it or if you'll want to go right again. I'm not quite sure. Let's see, what else do we have here? The Andre the Giant Funhouse sounds interesting that they had, but how about a classic ride, the Rotor, but a Piper's Pit Rotor.
Yes.
I just rode my first Rotor this past weekend, and I've never been on one. I wasn't a big fan of it, and they're disappearing quite quickly, but maybe the Piper's Pit Rotor might bring them back. A little, bagpipes and maybe I don't know how you work in the coconuts at the end of that one to, smash someone on the head with a coconut, but I think you kind of have to. And then the last guy I thought that deserves a coast or some sort of ride is Macho Man Randy Savage. I initially, maybe he would get a hyper coaster because Macho Man's such a big star, but like initially I thought maybe he should get the Macho Madness, like Max Air type ride because, the madness would make you go crazy, trying, because everyone can't get a coaster, right?
Right.
And everyone loves Max Air too.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts for the Legends era here? There's so many guys, it's hard to like boil it down. We don't want to be here for 3 hours tonight,
right. Yeah, so, I mean, those are the big. I mean, there's other tag teams in there. Because that was a big tag team era.
Yeah, I was thinking something with Legion of Doom would be cool, or Demolition.
Yeah.
But Legion of Doom almost runs into that new era. They started in the 80s, but definitely like Demolition, Heart Foundation. Exactly. Yes. It's just maybe maybe we'll let the listeners decide what would be a good themed tag team ride. That's your job. We'll give the listeners a job here because we need to figure out what would be your choice for a tag team themed amusement park attraction, because I can't think of what would work nice. Maybe a racing coaster, something along those lines. I can't figure that one out, but we'll let the listeners decide on that one. That'll be their job. We'll have some interactive elements here with Ride Warrior Wrestling. Oh man. So moving on to the 90s, my favorite time period, with big stars like Duke the Dumpster Droese and Dr. Isaac Yankem, and to be more serious, a little Razor Ramon, Diesel. The guy that really, there's two people that really stand out to me with the new era, with the early 90s, and it's probably Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, right? Like, those two guys were like the big stars. Bret Hart.
Undertaker.
So what can we do for Bret Hart? What can we do for Bret Hart? I think the pink and black would work really well on a roller coaster. Like, God knows the world doesn't have enough pink roller coasters. Wait, aren't you supposed to be making a pink roller coaster for Brian Bass?
Brian Bass, yeah.
The Killer Bee.
The pink hyper.
But I think the heart attack, because if you think of Bret Hart's logo, it's got the wings on the side. Maybe an invert would work well for Bret Hart.
Right.
Called the heart attack coaster. That might be kind of cool. What other ideas would you have? Who else is a big star down? Shawn Michaels, right? What could you do with Shawn Michaels?
We could do a Music Express, the Sweet Chin Music Express.
Yes, a nice flat ride, the Sweet Chin Music Express, and just have his theme music playing the entire time, going around in circles. Now the question is,
well, you can go backwards too.
Maybe when you're going forwards, Shawn sings it, and when you go backwards, Sherry sings it. She does the original track, so as she goes backwards, she sings it. You could also do, I was thinking, this one was the toughest part to do because of, like, I couldn't figure out, like, you could do like a diesel truck ride or something.
Yeah. They have like at Waldemere, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. I was having trouble with Razor Ramon to do something, with Machismo or something, but maybe that's another one. If you guys can come up with a good Razor Ramon ride, that'd be awesome. But the one thing I thought was, I like dive coasters, and I thought one of the big stars of the 90s was Yokozuna, God rest his soul. And I was thinking a bonsai drop dive coaster, like to get that experience of falling on that first drop. I thought that would be kind of cool to do as well. That's kind of like the new era. So let's move into everyone's favorite Attitude Era. This one, the big stars of this one. Who would you say, Rob? Like who needs a ride here?
Well, you got Stone Cold.
Stone Cold, and what can we do for Stone Cold Steve Austin?
We've got maybe a Stunner Drop Tower. Stunner Drop Tower. And
I like that because, like, especially if you get like an S&S Drop Tower, they kind of bounce just like a good Vince McMahon Stone Cold Stunner. And
the greatest sell in the world.
He oversold that move so much. It was
actually The Rock had a better sell to the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. The Rock. See, now Vince's was more like he was going into a seizure, whereas The Rock would bounce up and pop up 10 feet in the air. And
right. Vince was more like a kind of a dead flop.
Yes. Oh my God, a Stone Cold Drop Tower, the Stone Cold Stunner Drop Tower. The Rock. Speaking of The Rock, I think he. When I think of the Brahma Bull, I think of like El Toro automatically. So like with El Toro, I was thinking of like an Intamin, like prefab roller coaster or something like that. A Brahma Bull, wood coaster would be kind of cool. I wrote some notes down here, and I said, because I felt like the Attitude Era section would have to be a little bit more adult themed. Like, you can't just have like all kiddie areas around. And I'm thinking you have any good theme park has a train inside, right, Rob?
Oh, yes. Oh, I know that one.
And there is only one train that is associated with the Attitude Era, and that's All Aboard the Ho Train! And I was thinking you could do like an indoor, like psychedelic experience or something. Who the hell knows what you could put like some Val Venus videos in there or something. Some Val Venus stuff. Val Venus has
some Val Venus.
Yes. I'm surprised he's never made a return, because he's a guy that I thought, you know, would make a good, like, little return. So another one that I think fits well in here is, Mick Foley. He was such a big part of the Attitude Era. Finally put WWE over the edge against WCW in the Monday Night Wars when he won. And, his gimmick was always he had the 3 personalities with Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and then, Mankind. And I thought it would be cool if you could do like an RMC Raptor track racer that you would have, because the whole point of the Raptor track is that you have less supports, maybe have like a racing aspect. We've never seen a triple racer before. I'm actually surprised that racers are so popular. Why not put a 3rd track on there and do a triple racer and have each one themed to the 3 faces of Foley?
Yes.
How cool would that be, right? Like, you could have like one that's like kind of like one that launches, I don't know, one that like goes a little slower, like Mankind was a little creepy. Like, you could have them like have like different personalities and stuff too. It'd be kind of cool. So of course then the last section of this is going to be the modern era that everybody loves so much, So obviously John Cena is your big star here. So we came up with this idea of the 5-knuckle shuffler RMC wood coaster. Now, Rob, how would you lay this one out?
Well, we'd only have 5 elements.
And why would you only have 5 elements?
Five moves of doom. It's John Cena. He only does 5 moves.
He does 5 moves, and then you'd have to have like Nikki Bella have like a ride right next to it. Like,
yes, absolutely. Or a Bella Twins ride, even.
A Bella Twins ride, right? Like,
that would be.
Like, I would right next to it. Like, you could,
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
You could not stray far from from the John Cena ride. What else could we do here? The one picture that they had in the brochure was like this sledgehammer thing, from Canada's Wonderland, in the concept art, and I thought that would be a really cool Suplex City ride with Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar's a star. So like, this is the area where you have to be really careful not to put people who aren't going to be with the company in a few years. Like, John Cena is always going to be there. Brock Lesnar's always going to be part of the history. And I think a Brock Lesnar Suplex City, like, sledgehammer ride that like slams you down over and over and over would be really cool there. And then you had another idea for another coaster, and what was that?
The Ayatollah of Rock and Roller coaster.
So
Y2J himself.
Y2J. So instead of Aerosmith, you could just put Chris Jericho and have him take you on a Fozzy tour. Have like light, like that could be like an indoor coaster where things like light up all over the place. Or do some pyro maybe. That would be really cool though.
Right, and some walls that it can break through.
Yes, like at the end of it, like a launch through a wall that they break the walls down. That would be super awesome. And then, so the last part of this is like having that physical Hall of Fame there. That you have the Road to WrestleMania Dark Ride, but you need the Hall of Fame. That's always been the thing that the WWE has lacked. That they take the Hall of Fame to different access, WrestleMania, access. But you need a physical building for this. It's such an illustrious thing that they have, and you can't go see it. So maybe they would have that ultimately at the theme park, like in the center. That's your centerpiece with the Road to WrestleMania Dark Ride. And I think that's your theme park. What do you think? Good park? Would you go?
Yeah.
So, if you have any ideas out there for us on what you would add to this theme park, feel free to comment in the section below, come up with some ideas. Because I think there's a lot to do here. You could do haunt events, you could do a water park. There's a lot of different stuff that you could do. But ultimately, we want your ideas a little bit here. So if you could, give us your ideas in the comment section. And our next episode is actually going to be about SummerSlam. So we're going to focus more on doing some SummerSlam reviews and predictions for what's going to happen at the big pay-per-view. Maybe throw a little coaster flair on top of it. So thanks, Rob, for joining us here tonight. We'll be back with more Ride Warrior Wrestling for sure. I'm, of course, Andy Robarczyk, the face that runs the place.
Face that runs the place. And I am Maverick Rob. Too sweet, everybody.
Right on, Ride Warriors.